In terms of money, like I would say, like putting aside about $1,000 for all of that stuff is very useful. I know, like again, $1,000 seems like a lot of money, but if you want to save money, there Muhammad does talk about how to like get scholarships, etc., etc.
All right. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the second part of Arnav trying to make his way into Canada. As we have learned, Arnav has been a menace and really, truly been a problematic individual to each and every one of our lives. Arnav. So as usual, I'm Mohammed, and this is my dear friend.
I'm supposed to join in. Oh, okay. Are we supposed to complete each other's sentences?
Dude, we're 7 videos. Yeah. So again, this is a podcast where we talk about our both of our shared experiences throughout university, and Arnav coming out of Canada from India and studying at University of Toronto, me studying here, and then like going into university and like sharing our experiences. This is where you can ask any of your unanswered questions, and we will try our best to answer each and every one of them. As usual, please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them below. And if you reach 100 subscribers, Arnav will put a bag on top of his head.
Oh my god, you're really sticking with that. Jeez.
Bro, I'm really manifesting. Like, you know how like you like. Anywho.
You forgot your syllabus quicker than this topic, you know?
Yeah, that's right. I was say again, just to recap, I was a dumbass. Like I think I've mentioned this over and over again, but I never forget. I haven't forgotten to take. Like I have consistently roasted you all the way from like 2015 September till now. So,
damn.
Extremely thankful for the knowledge that I've acquired, the knowledge to roast you. Sorry. So before I jump out of topic, I want to give a quick recap of what we have touched upon so far. So the topics that we have touched upon is how Arnav, what was his mindset and why he applied, or why he chose to study outside of India, and what were some of the indicators that he really wanted to move outside and pursue his higher education outside. Some other things that we have also touched upon are Arnav's educational journey, his life choices, him going through like different resources to find a rental place. Correct me if I'm wrong. Him being a menace. I think we also touched. And finally, I think we also talked a bit about like how you navigated your first couple of months after being here, how you maintain that relationship with your friends back home.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. So for today's podcast, we are going to touch upon today's video, we are going to touch upon a very important topic, which is a lot of the international students at the moment are a bit anxious about. It's about like a pre-checklist. Before coming from another country into Canada, what are some things you really want to hone down, and then make sure that like you're hitting off your checklist, because you are moving your entire life for the next 4 or 5 years to maybe for the rest of your life. So what are some of the things that you should keep an eye out on, and some mandatory checklists. So we can get started with that, Arnav. First question of the day is, what were some of the things that you thought about when you were thinking of moving to Canada? What was in your checklist, and how did you go about managing it?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think something everyone does, every international student does. It is a big step, and I think the entire family is involved. Generally, everyone is a bit emotional. There's always this huge leap you're taking to your next chapter of your life, right? And the checklist is very important, and I think it's safe to say that it's very important to be organized at this point, because you are gonna need all of the information and documents when you come here, and missing items can cost you a lot. It can cost you a lot of money here. First of all, your documents. I think, like, needless to say, we have mentioned it a few times. I have created a shorts as well on 7 documents that you need to bring into Canada. You need to have your documents. Like, you need to have your passport, you need to have your visa, you need to make sure you get the permit on the border, you need to make sure you have a accommodation set up for yourself, and even like your university letters, acceptance, etc., etc. You need to have all that information. When I carried those documents, I carried it in a folder, and I also had a photocopy of all the documents in my suitcase. So this way, like, even if I lose my folder, let's say, I do have that in a second bag. Generally, like, I like to keep it in my school bag, my important documents, which I carry always with me. You can have like a small carry-on baggage where you want to keep that. Whatever you do, like, make sure that's in your sight when you're traveling. So that's definitely the number one thing you need to have. But there's like other things. Like, I think for me, like, I created a list of items, and the first thing on that list was, I did arrange it by categories. So you had your clothes. I literally marked every single cloth. I said, okay, these are the number of jeans I'm getting, these are the number of shirts I'm getting, etc. And I want to have a guest panel for this, especially for women's side, because it could be a little different for women. But from the men's perspective, I think that was very important. I personally like to keep a couple of things for hygiene as well, like maybe like some soaps, etc., just in case, you land here, you don't have that. Then except that, I also started, and I think more importantly, I had a medicine section, and all the medicines that were priority for me were kept in the bag first. Now you have your clothes, you have your basic clothes, you have your basic medicines, etc. Now the next thing you look at is, okay, what's the basic stuff I need for kitchenware, right? Like, let's say you come here and you don't even know what food you can cook, so you start keeping some kitchenware, small kitchen items first, and then after that, I would say, like, keep some ready-made food. In India, you get like these ready-made vegetarian food from a company called Haldiram's, which I kept. But you can have like different companies. Like, every country has their own ready-made food, which you can carry. So you just carry a few ready-made items. Make sure they're stored correctly so that they don't go bad. So that's very important. Go ahead.
I would like to touch upon a bit more on that. So just for folks like coming out of the country, and if this is your first time crossing a border, generally Canadian border services are very, very strict about what you can bring into Canada. And I have crossed through multiple borders, and coming from a Southeast Asian country, or going through like the borders of Dubai and stuff, it's definitely a lot easier, I would personally say, to bring in items versus like the border security isn't as strict as you would expect it, as Canadian borders or American border services. So definitely no livestock. What I mean by that is no meat, no poultry, try avoiding, I know a lot of folks like just package freeze fish and bring that in. Don't do that. Try avoiding it. Bengalis, we love fish, so that's why like a lot of time we freeze fish over. But like, please don't do that. Try, as Arnav mentioned, please bring in snacks. I think snacks are a really good option to bring in. Vegetarian food is good. Like if you're personally, like, I can't tolerate the spice, and like if the food goes bad and everything, like that would be like a whole other thing. So like I'll go for like, snacks and whatnot. Yeah, just to summarize what Arnav, I'll have a follow-up question to this, but just to summarize what Arnav has touched upon so far is basically he has divided his items into legal, household, what you need to wear, and medicine cabinets. So medicine so far. So legal documents, have photocopies of everything. Like, just don't just bring one copy, and spread it out in your bags. So like a carry-on is something that you bring in. If, again, I feel like I'm mansplaining right now, but if this is your first time flying by yourself, a carry-on is basically a small luggage bag that you have with you, like the one that you roll around, and you're allowed a carry-on and a backpack. And in your backpack, generally this is where I like keeping all my very important legal documents. That never leaves your shoulder. So it stays on your shoulder, or it's a side bag, but that stays there. So that has your passport, your legal documents, anything. So anytime someone asks for something, you can just that's the only bag you'll open. Your carry-on is your first night thing to go through your first night. So basically your temporary clothes, your washroom stuff, maybe your important medicines that go into your carry-on. And then what Arnav was mentioning is basically then you can divide up your kitchen and household items into your checked-in bag. Generally, when you cross over Atlantic, you are allowed 2 checked bags, if I'm not mistaken. And again, this can vary between different airlines. Please check it. Don't take my word for it. It should be in the guidelines. In those checked bags, taking your clothes that you obviously will bring in. And Canada, if you're coming in September, Canada does get extremely cold very fast. Starting September is really hot, 30-40 degrees, and then within 15 days it drops down to 5 degrees Celsius, and by the time it's November, December, it's down to -5. I would say -5, -10 is very much not normal. Sorry, it's they were triple.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Mo. The winter clothing that you mentioned just right now, I think the inners, at least for me, in India you get really good woolen stuff, just because we do get really good natural wool, especially from the north side. So it's cheap, so really recommend getting that if you want to get some woolen clothes into the country. But I would say the winter coats, I would recommend buying it within Canada. You do get really good winter coats here, which you would not find in a hotter country like India, at least. Maybe if you're coming from China or maybe other countries where there is colder weather, I do not know how good the clothes are to support the winter in those countries, but there might be an option for that. But if you're coming from tropical or temperate countries like India, I would recommend definitely buying it within Canada.
Yeah. And we can definitely leave some really good brands, but I don't know if that would be colluding or basically advertising for these brands. So I will leave that legal stuff to Arnav, because clearly
I think that should be okay. I don't think that's a big problem. I think Canadian Goose, I think, is a really good brand.
This is really good.
Yeah.
Really expensive.
Yeah.
I personally, I have never owned a Canada Goose jacket. I know that's a very international student thing, and I see people wearing Yeezys with Canada Goose, like Arnav, he comes from.
I do not wear.
I personally, I've never owned a Canada Goose, but it's a really good jacket. But that jacket costs more than $1,000. So be very careful.
Yep.
There are some Moose Knuckle. It's also pretty decent, and you can honestly, there are other non-named brands that you can also look into.
My winter jacket was literally from Walmart. So Walmart has like really good winter jackets, and they go on sale. I think mine was like $200-300 when I came, and it lasted me like 6-7 years, which is
like a good winter jacket should not be more than like $300 to $400. Honestly, like a really like you can. And I think one thing that maybe something that can really help people is like get it down feathered. So what that means, it's like just know this word. I personally don't know what that means. I don't know if you know what that means.
I think it's just animal feather inside, right? Or no?
I have no idea, but but it's like this special term called down feathered or something. My mom always says it, so I was like, okay, I'll say it. I'll act like I'm smart. I go to these stores and be like, is a jacket like down feathered? And they'll be like, yeah, or maybe no. And if it's down feathered, it's a really good jacket. Like that should last you up to like -30, -40. Get a good winter jacket is an investment.
Yes.
So make sure that like you get at least one really good winter jacket, and then the other ones can be like temporary. So like when it's a really cold day, like a negative, we don't get -30, -40 in Toronto, but if you're coming to Alberta or other places, like that's a very normal thing.
The other thing is more like I think like domestic students don't realize, but like when they come in, like as an international student, the first year you come in, you feel the cold. You feel the cold a lot more than others, and so a good winter jacket is really useful. It's a safe bet, and it's something that will last you like I would say around 7 to 8 years. So like when you break it down, you're almost spending like $40-50 a year, which is not bad. one other thing is like another thing you need to take care of is something called a rain jacket, or like something like which can take care of you if it rains and it's cold. Sometimes your winter jacket might not be able to take care of that. It really depends. I think my winter jacket was actually pretty good in the rain. But if you are walking outside in the rain and you get wet, and your winter jacket is wet, it's going to be a horrible experience for you. So investing in that is also useful. I generally like to have like a big winter jacket and then another smaller winter jacket, which can like last me around -10, -15. And that the second one is like rainproof, so waterproof, so that like I don't actually get wet when it rains, and it has a hoodie so that I don't have to like worry about that.
Just
sorry.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead, Mo. Sorry, you just froze for a second.
Oh, I was gonna say that like just don't be weak.
Just
like, it's a really good way of like bypassing all your problems. Don't be weak like Arnav. Honestly, as a domestic student, like only my problems matter, right? Like obviously Arnav coming in from a country where he grew up in 40-50 degrees, it doesn't matter like how you feel, how I feel. And when I don't face the issue, that's not an issue. It's you're just weak.
He's just joking, yeah.
This is how I talk, so I am absolutely joking. I hope this doesn't. Anywho, sorry. Going back to the topic. So like we have Arnav. I think you have some down what you need to have in your checklist: household items, kitchen, clothing, and snacks.
Sorry, Mo, if you're on the topic, can I also touch on one more topic? I know, sorry, you have a lot of questions, but I think winter boots is also, I think, something we should touch on.
Right.
I think that's a really good point. What kind of winter boots do you own right now?
So I can answer this in two different ways. When I started making money after my first internship, I got Timberlands.
Okay.
Or we call them Tims.
Yeah.
Tims are really, really good winter boots. You don't need to get them, but they're waterproof and they have really good traction.
Mm-hmm.
So Arnav, I'm pretty sure like you can add a picture of Tims. Maybe I'll put my hand here.
Okay.
But you know, like if you add Tims, like if you get Timberlands, those are really good winter boots.
Mm-hmm.
They do get a bit expensive. Like I think Timberlands cost. I'm saying Timberlands. We don't call Timberlands. We call them Tims. But like they cost about $180, $190 to like $220. Like I think if you go like different shopping malls are a really good bet. They're very iconic. Like they look like construction worker boots, but you know they last you a very long time if you take care of them. When I first moved to Canada, when I was a kid, my parents got me these winter boots that they got on sale. And they're literally Timberlands without any brand on them. It was so funny. And you went to like Payless shoe store, and they lasted me for a very long time. I think at that time it's just we couldn't afford Timberlands, so.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think in Canada there's like this concept of, I think it's called I forgot, is it a warehouse, a flea market? I forgot what's it called, like the one that
flea market? Is that
no, like where you get the cheap boots, like
okay, so yeah, warehouses, like there are warehouse sales. So that's a really good place. So like you'll find those ads like different papers, for sure.
Okay, so let me just mention why you need good winter boots first of all. So you need good winter boots regardless of where you're coming. Like even in Vancouver, where I'm living right now, it's probably the warmest area in Canada, and you would need winter boots. There's gonna be snowfall here, and you're gonna be needing it at some point for sure. Other places you would need it even more. So you would need bigger winter boots. You want to make sure snow doesn't go into your shoes. You want to make sure water doesn't go into your shoes, so that you're warm enough, and also they are warm enough in general, so that you last the cold temperatures of the winter. But also you want to make sure that they have enough friction, like traction, I guess, because when you're walking on the ground, you are going to be sliding and sliding on the ground because of dry ice or black ice, basically. So that's the reason you want to have these winter shoes. More like, what do you like? What's the price range in your opinion of winter boots? Like you've been here for a while, so what do you think is the price range like?
So my thing is like, winter jacket, winter shoes are things that you invested in once and they last you a very long time. So as you mentioned, like, like you take that, you don't do like, oh, like it's a one time, well, it's like really expensive. You kind of do like, okay, it's gonna last me like 5 to 6 years. I am going to make sure that like I invest in something good so that it lasts me 5 to 6 years. A decent, again, my example, when I first started making money out of my internship, I was like, I need good winter boots. And like, I invested, I think I spent, this was back in 2016, and I spent around, I would like to say $210 before tax, 210 Canadian dollars before tax. And those shoes lasted, I think I still like back, even if I go back to Toronto, like I think they're still there. So that's a really good way. If you go into those warehouse sales, like the Payless shoe store, so I have that. I have a really good set of winter shoes, and then I have another set of really cheap but decently working winter shoes, and I got them from Payless shoe store in Chicago, and that cost me around, I would say, $50 if I'm not mistaken, and they also last me almost like 6 years right now. And winter jacket, again, like I think winter jacket, I don't know if you touched upon, like we touched upon, like average is like $300-400. That's what I spent. I'm not sure what your experience was, like if it was different or not.
Yeah, so as you mentioned that winter jackets can range for different prices. I do not think you should go for winter jackets. I'm mentioning jackets for less than $100. There's no good winter jacket you'll get less than $100. So definitely see your range above $100. I know it's a lot of money to put up front, but it's gonna really pay forward. Similarly for winter shoes, I would say the lowest price you should go for is like $60 in my opinion at this point, maybe even $70-80. Because you wouldn't get a winter shoes that are good for you anymore, which are like less than $70. Like as Mo mentioned, $50 is the shoe he got, but that's probably like the lowest at the time, at his time, probably one of the lowest. And
I got it on sale, by the way. So it was at the Payless shoe store. The store was closing down, and this was like, it was so random because like me and my parents, we drove to Chicago, and then on our way back, we just saw like this store like saying that like, oh, store closed. By the way, huge pro tip. We are like throwing random stuff at you guys, but like, huge pro tip. If a store is closing down, they generally have really big sales. So like definitely check those out. So I walked in, and then I saw these like boots that look exactly like Tim's, but then they had like no watermark, like no tint. So it's like it was like I got them for $50. I think retail was like close to 110, 120, but like it was like 50% off. Yeah.
So my shoes, like I'll be honest, like when I first came, I did not have great shoes, but they worked, and I did use them. But I went to Ottawa for like 1 year of internship in between, and when I went to Ottawa, they would get wet, snow would go inside them, they just weren't like tight enough, and you do run into a lot of problems to the point where I would carry an extra pair of socks with me every time I was traveling, just in case my socks get wet. I would replace my socks. So yeah, you need to have good winter shoes, as I mentioned, and anything above $50-60. So we mentioned the winter jacket, winter shoes, except that I would say like carry some stuff from the home, like if you want to, or you can buy it here, like something like gloves. You need to have gloves. Again, like gloves can be of two types. It could be the woolen ones you can have, or you can have a waterproof one. I personally prefer the waterproof ones. Some prefer the woolen ones. And then like make sure you layer it up, like you layer yourself up. There can be like multiple inners, etc., that you can wear. Go ahead.
A really good suggestion is like something, a thermal wear they can wear underneath. So those are basically, if you play sports, you can see like the tights that people wear under their shirt. I personally, Arnav, I'm going to give an example from North American. Well, it's not North American, but like an example here because I'm not aware of the brands in India, but I'm pretty sure there's something very similar. So, and at Uniqlo, which is a store here, it's it's a foreign store that's here. But at Uniqlo, you can get these like very these thermal I don't know what they're called, but like thermal
like it's yeah, it's like extra warm, extra ultra heat tech, yeah.
And they cost like $10. Honestly,
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're expensive. $10 heat tech.
Not $10, but okay.
I got it for $10.
Okay, sure.
Let's just agree to disagree. $10 heat tech. That thing can last you like I play soccer outside like in freezing temperatures, and you start sweating. Like it's like at freezing temperature you're sweating because it's like they actually keep the heat inside, and it's really nice. Like it's very convenient to wear it.
Yeah, and you do have those stores in India too. Like you have Uniqlo in India, in Delhi at least.
Did you? Oh,
yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and if anyone is coming, like I know there's a lot of people coming from Punjab and Delhi. You can definitely. I don't think Uniqlo is in Punjab, so you do travel to Delhi before you fly to Canada. You can definitely buy it in Delhi, and it would be a lot cheaper as well. So it's a good hack. It's a really good hack to have.
Yeah.
I would also say, like, for anyone who's coming from a high end, like have a bit more budget. Arc'teryx is also really good. I think if you're doing sports and anything, it's a really good layer, like a base layer that you can have, and you don't need it just for sports. You can wear it like on a regular basis, and it would keep you warm, like even more than Uniqlo, like considerably more than Uniqlo. But yeah, of course, it does cost a lot more.
So, Arnav, I know this video we only have a couple of minutes for this video, so I do want to touch upon one quick question. I think this is very important, and then we can kind of leave the other questions or the comments about that. But I think this is kind of because you're an international student and you came in from a very different culture than North American culture. Was there an instance where you had a different, or you faced a cultural misunderstanding or misrepresentation, and like how you went about dealing with it? So, and I want to like make sure that this question is a bit like more clear. So like people understood, there are two aspects to this. Is like, was there a time when you understood the culture wrong and then you misunderstood it and then you went about resolving it, and then there's like the other side where like people misunderstood you and you know how you went about resolving it? And I would like to say we do, like, as I was joking around before, North American people are very like, a lot of us, and not me particularly, because obviously I'm a really good person and clearly everything's just about me, but I obviously don't misunderstand people. I'm kidding. Like we tend to misjudge and misunderstand people, and we have like a mindset. So this is just, and nowhere shape and form this is like right for it to happen, but how you went about resolving it would be something I think our viewers might find out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about from the racism point of view, I didn't face that much, to be honest, and I don't think most of the people I know faced it much. So that part is, I would say, like not the most common thing to happen, but the other parts are more common. Like I think like it's very common for like issues to occur in terms of your jokes and communication. As I mentioned, there are communication barriers that can happen. So one of the communication barriers I thought was like in terms of how I perceive jokes, like, or how I perceive comedy. Sometimes that can be offensive in North America. So India comes from a very British humor, and British humor is very different from American humor. It's very easy for us to, I think, like blend into the Europe or UK, etc., because we're very like kind of like crass, I guess, to say, like in terms of jokes, and especially from Delhi. Like I think like we are very open to saying anything what we want, whereas I think over here people kind of care a little more. So I think that's definitely important. I would say, like, so if that happens in any scenario, just apologize, just realize that, you know, there is cultural differences. People do not like to, I think like one of the things that happened was people don't like to share food here. Apparently people see that like a bully culture, whereas in India it's considered to be more of like a sign of friendship. So you just be careful on that. Like if you do interact with, like, you know, people who are of different cultures, and you know, like don't expect people to share food, kind of. Just be together and like, like stay away, do your own business kind of thing is very important in America. If they offer 100%, if you want, you can accept it, but do not like, I don't think I would now anymore go out of my way to ask someone for food anymore. Again, it really depends, like person to person. I've had that experience where someone was like, hey, like, why are you asking for food? Like, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's different. So there is that instance. I think like also like as I mentioned like last video, having some Indian friends in a new country is very useful. So having new friends in a new country really allows you to be comfortable and really helps you with that transition. So I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, and I think as a pro tip, since we both moved here, I think people are generally very accepting of other people's culture.
Yeah.
Like I personally, even the joke around about this, but like Canada is one of the most multiculturally accepting places like in the world. Like as far as my experiences with traveling to different countries, but when in doubt, just ask. Honestly,
Yes.
when in doubt, just ask. And as Canadians, we apologize way too much. I think this is something that's like very inherent. But like, please, like if something goes wrong, and like if you feel like you made someone else uncomfortable, just apologize and give them their personal space.
Yeah.
I think that's something that my parents, like, I think growing up with my parents, like I've definitely seen like the concept of personal space isn't a thing in my family. So give people their spaces. I think that's like the best thing that you can do for sure.
Yeah, I think one thing, yeah, definitely, if I learned something here is people really value space. People value that individualistic freedom. And I think it's really important to make sure that you provide that to them. You will make mistakes, I think, like especially if you try to jump right in. Like for example, I tried to like really not meet a lot of Indian people and just like jump right in and meet like foreign people right away. I made a bunch of mistakes coming into the country, and looking back, I wouldn't do things I did like 5 years ago anymore, but I did those mistakes and that's what I learned from. So yeah, you'll make mistakes, just say sorry. Like it's not a big deal, just say sorry, make sure they understand that you didn't have the wrong intentions, and yeah, just say sorry. I think that's very important. Ask, and if you do something wrong, just apologize.
Yeah, and mean it. Obviously, don't just say sorry.
Yeah.
Don't be like Arnav. Arnav isn't a good example. And obviously, Arnav, I am really sorry about your face. We're gonna put it back on. See, that was very gentle. I'm kidding. That was awful.
Yeah. Can I like finally touch on one thing more before we wrap it up? Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
Just really important. Like I think we really talked about the money, like what things, and in terms of money, like I would say like putting aside about $1,000 for all of that stuff is very useful. I know, like again, $1,000 seems like a lot of money, but if you want to save money, there Muhammad does talk about how to like get scholarships, etc., maybe get jobs as well. And we will touch upon like on-campus and off-campus jobs in the future. But just to be clear, there's going to be a cost associated with your bedding. You have to care about your mattresses. You have to care about getting a quilt. Quilt is basically like it's like a thick blanket kind of that you would be putting on yourself because it's gonna get cold. So you need to make sure that you have that money because these things are not cheap. And if you're coming into an unfurnished house, you need to make sure you have a bed to sleep on your first day. And this is one of the reasons I do recommend university housing, because some of these things are taken care for you. But if you do not get your student housing, do not worry. A lot of people go through this every year, and you might end up spending either a little less or a little more, but you will gain a lot of valuable experience that it would definitely come in handy in the future.
For sure.
Do you have anything else before we finish it up?
No, I think you touched upon really good. Like I basically just going through my checklist of like what we have talked about and touched upon like last two videos, and like I really want to cater this video towards like the checklist, because I know that's a lot more relevant.
Yeah.
So things that we talked about over the last two videos, and please, I would highly recommend you watching the first part of this video. So again, motivation of Arnav coming into Canada, what you did to apply, your steps. Then we talked about maybe scholarships and whatnot, like things that you can apply for. Then housing, how your first experiences was. And then finally, like making friends. That was done in the first video. And then this part of the video was mostly just going through checklists. And to summarize what Arnav has talked about is basically have a lot of leeway, or make sure you're coming to a new country. It's not an easy way back. Like, it's not like, oh, hey, I forgot this thing, so let me just call my mom and let her bring it over. It's not that. You're not crossing a province in a country. You're not crossing like across the same continent. You're literally crossing over Atlantic, and like that, each flight is about like 16-17 hours one way. So make sure that you prepare really well. Make sure you have leeway, or give yourself space to make mistakes, because you will. Everyone does. Like, if you aren't making mistakes, something's wrong with you. Don't be that guy. Don't be like Arnav, and don't be like a perfectionist. I'm kidding. And make sure that, like, obviously winters are brutal. We know this. Like, I think if you're coming to Canada, that's something that you're also well prepped for. Yeah. You will get used to it. Just make sure that, like, because you haven't experienced it, don't buy things that you don't like. You're gonna waste. Experience it first, and then the next time you go back, maybe you can like understand like what to get from India if you're coming from a tropical country, maybe, or Bangladesh and whatnot. And obviously the final piece that we touched upon in this is basically, if you have a misunderstanding with people, communication, how you like go about resolving it. Thank you so much, Arnav, for enlightening us with your huge knowledge and things that I had to deal with for the last 4 or 5 years. Actually, no, it hasn't been. It's been 8 years. Dude, we started university 8 years ago. That's crazy. So it just hit me. I don't know why it just hit me right now. But anywho, as I've mentioned it over and over again, please like, comment, subscribe, leave any comments that you want on our video that you want us to touch upon. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. Take care, guys, and please comment if you have any suggestions, as Mo mentioned. See you in the next video.
He just repeated me.